Few people know the story behind the name.
Israel Matskeke Zulu.
Israel Matskeke Zulu.
The face that would later dominate the screens across South Africa, and yet the journey that led there was anything but smooth.
Me, at the age of 18, maybe I was arrested 5 times or 7 times. I started to know my father when I was 14.
Born into the street that was unforgiving, where survival wasn't guaranteed, and every choice could change a life forever.
Ukhumbule sizalwa kanje ubabethu yakhula. Abantwana banabo baba. So thina sikhule sifundiswa ukuthi asinabani singahambi sifunana nomunye umuntu ongekho. Sikhuliswa ugogo thi. Sikhule sidla iplate eyi1. Akadla omunye angekho.
Israel Matskeke Zulu learned early that the world didn't hand out choices. It demanded that you fight for them. This is the story of Israel, a man who became known for playing some of the most intense and unforgettable characters on South African television and film. Israel Matskeke Zulu grew up in Alexandra, a place where the air seemed to hum with both possibility and danger, where every street corner had a story and a shadow that could either protect you or swallow you as a whole.
Israel Matskeke Zulu, aka Ma Orange, the GP, Ghetto Professor, King Manamune. Matseke, it's my mother. Zulu, it's my biological father. I was born, bred, and battered in Alexandra Township. I was born in a one room. I think it's fair. It's fair if I'm whoever, I must be that person. So I combine the two surnames. My whole life is Alexander.
From a very young age, he learned that survival was more than just knowing how to fight. It was understanding the rhythm of the street, the unspoken rules, the looks, the whispers, or the subtle movement that could save or ruin life in seconds.
I was that type of guy. No Christmas for us. Christmas, it will be a meeting. You know how you were born and where you come from. Your Christmas is not the same as others. No parties. I don't remember having a party. I don't even have pictures when I was young. Blowing a candle or whatsoever.
His childhood was shaped not by playgrounds or schoolyard games, but by the weight of responsibility that pressed down on him like a storm cloud that never passed. With a mother who struggled to make ends meet and a stepfather whose patience was thin, Israel found himself carrying burdens far heavier than his small frame should have been asked to bear. Whether it was earning money to keep the lights on, avoiding fights that could turn deadly, or simply staying alive long enough to see the next morning.
Sometimes our life makes us to hate ourselves. That is why in other nations they will say we are the people who must be killed first because we have no veil. I've witnessed that. I can even prove it to you. You can come with your cameras there where I live. I'll show you examples with how fucked up we are. That is why we decide to live in the suburb.
Even as a boy, he watched all gangsters move with authority and respect, taking mental notes of their struggles, their passions, and the quiet power that came from understanding fear and loyalty in equal measure. Friends were few, and trust was even scarcer. Yet in those rare moments of connection, Israel found sparks of humanity that reminded him that there was more than life than the constant struggle.
No television, no bicycle, no roller skate, no skateboard, nothing. It's a painful and a shameful family. Yalwiwa, yaphuzwa, ngadecide ukuthi ithi ngingasalala ekhaya at the age of 11. Ngoba ngaphandle bengithola ipeace. Besinomkhukhu thina sihlala lapho, laba esihluphekile. Bese siyakholisana ukuthi ngelinye ilanga kuzolunga.
And yet, even as he navigated this world with caution, a part of him was always dreaming, imagining a life beyond the crime and tension. A life where he could control his destiny rather than merely surviving it.
I think I was raised very well. I was raised by an intelligent grandmother. He made me the man that I am today. Ugogo wami usifundisile. Usifundise isonto. Asifundisa ukubambana. Athi ningabantwana bomuntu ukuthi lo unobabakhe ayisebenzi nizobulalana. Thandanani. Wena ubhuti omkhulu la ekhaya. Umalume, ubaba, umkhulu futhi umntwana. Gogo wami mangiphuma esikolweni bekangavumi ukuthi ngothela ilanga bekangimela mangifika immediate endlini athi hambe uyofuna i-youth club ngithi yini leyo athi uzoyazi ukuthi yini ngizohamba ngiyoyifuna. So I was lucky, though we were a nightmare family, but my grandmama was very brilliant, very intelligent. Nama homework besenziswa huye bekasihlalisa la athi fundani, ngifuna ukuzwa nifunda nesikolweni, ungafundele enhlizweni, angifuna ukusizwa nesilungu. Umunye ugeza izitsha umunye yasula. Bekubantwana besingabantwana esaziwayo ukuthi washaya 7 asifuneke ngaphandle kokwethu bekashaya.
But Street had a way of demanding attention, of pulling him back whenever he thought he might step into something different, something safer, something bigger.
To grow without a father, I was raised by women. I grew up in a house that has been dominated by women. There was no uncle at home, there was no father. I carry a responsibility of being a father. And my father figure in the gangster world, my mentor was a top gangster as well. So it was easy for me to become a donor, to become like him. Yeah. So I had a choice to choose whether I go this way or I go this way. As you understand that I'm an apartheid-born child, we had a lot of challenges. We went to school, but we didn't have a purpose why we went to school. We went to school because we believe that a child belongs at the school. Things that we wanted to achieve, they are not at school. I've never learned art at school. I've never learned any the format of art at school. When we were boys looking for role models, there were no role models like good role models. Role models were gangsters. People who capture us when we're looking for role modeling or father figure are gangsters. People who've got cars, people who've got money.
Why did you get arrested at 12? What happened?
At 12, I stole a car.
At 12?
Me, I steal from the whites strictly. My crime was influenced by politics. It was a political influence. The whites have taken, we are repossessing our forefathers' cows. That's an only option. We go to school, we don't have vision. We don't know why we're going to school. We're going to school because a child belongs in a class, belongs in a school when a parent is working.
Every lesson he learned came with a price, and every small victory was a reminder that the world outside Alexandra was watching, waiting, and judging in ways he didn't yet understand. And through it all, there lingered a question, one that whispered at the edges of every decision. How does a boy from this street grow into the man who refuses to be consumed? A man who refuses to be just another story forgotten by time? That question never left him, not for a second. And it would follow him through every choice.
Ngabona ukuthi hayi angina choice akunabani. Nami ithi ngijoyina umzabalazo. Then sakhulela kule environment yecrime. Ugogo wami bengimtshela yonke into noma ngiphuma kuyoganga bokungana ukuthi ngingakhuluma amanga ngoba mangiphethe imali bayongibuza ngiyithatha ke le mali. Ngithi gogo singena endlini yomlungu nje sayiphuma. Sathatha ama-TV sawathengisa le mali ibuya lapho. Ayikho into engizoyenza emhlabeni. Umntana onjengami angina choice. Bengirizina yonke into mangiyenza ngiyarizina. Ukuthi why mele ngenze so. And then ngaboshwa ke ngina 12. Ngicala ukuboshwa ngina 12. 12 years bengishaya standard 5.
Usangikhumbula nangegama bheki.
By the time Israel reached his late teens, the street that had seemed to be full of lessons had grown into the world he could never fully escape. A world where every step could change the trajectory of his life in an instant. And yet, paradoxically, it was also the place where he discovered his own sense of power, his own understanding of respect, and the fragile thread that separated survival from destruction. There was no safety, no room for hesitation, and no forgiveness for mistakes. And Israel quickly he learned that even the smallest missteps could spiral into consequences that were impossible to reverse, leaving scars that were both visible and invisible, and that would follow him long after the dust settled. His reputation grew not because he sought it, but because he had mastered the art of observation, patience, and the timing, understanding that power was often quiet.
And you're yellow bone.
Yeah. Shambu, uyabona na. I grew up knowing Guti, I'm like this. I'm a victim number one. Everyone, when you look at me, is thinking that. So, but let me tell you the truth. The most notorious and the most dangerous gangsters are the handsome ones.
As he navigated this delicate balance, there remained an ever-present question. Could he truly rise above the chaos, or was he destined to be consumed by the world he had learned to command? The early 20s brought even greater challenges, not only from the world around him, but from within. As Israel began to wrestle with consequences of chaos he had made, the alliances he had formed, and the enemies he had quietly collected along the way, each one waiting for the slightest sign of weakness. There were nights when the weight of the stress weighted down on him, so heavily that he could feel it in his chest, making it hard for him to breathe. He saw the rise and fall of others who had walked the similar paths, those who had let pride, anger, or recklessness dictate their movements.
See my name, Orange.
Yeah, my Orange.
My
yeah.
nickname.
Yeah. GP Orange.
Yeah, I was a top gangster originally.
Oh, there's a guy called Orange.
Yes. We had role models of gangsters when I was a gangster. And then my father figure in the gangster world, my mentor, was a top gangster as well.
He was a godfather.
Yeah, he was a godfather, he was a kingpin. It was easy for me to become a don, to become like him.
Yeah.
So I had a choice to choose whether I go this way or I go this way. But most of them, actually almost all of them have passed away. Yeah, they didn't make it. Yeah, that's the game. That's the name of the game. They all go.
Did they see you when you transitioned from being a gangster
Yeah.
to they saw
And they appreciate it. They wish they had the same chance. You can admire a person, a gangster, thinking that he's happy, only to find that he's suffering inside. He's caught up in a trap. You know, no one is born to commit crime.
No. A survivor.
When we are born, we are all obedient. We are born innocent. But the challenges, the circumstances, the influence, the pressure, the universe can change you.
100%.
People can change you.
Yep.
And he learned to measure his own steps with careful patience, understanding that timing could mean the difference between opportunity and disaster. Even with this awareness, life had a way of throwing curveballs, movements that tested not only his skills, but his very understanding of who he was, and whether the street had made him stronger or simply harder to touch. It was during these years that Israel first encountered the world of organized crime in a way that would change the trajectory of his life. A world where loyalty was currency and trust was the most commodity of all, and yet one that could be destroyed in an instant, leaving devastation in its wake.
So I was arrested the last time, 1995, 25 October.
Sure.
Went to Sun City. That's when I was sentenced.
Okay.
But finally, when I went to imprisonment, it was 1995. I was arrested for Imotezitri, and then because I had a previous conviction, 1990, for housebreaking and theft. So in front of the law, I plead guilty before I plead guilty. Mangaboswa manje for theft, I go forever. I was told that.
Sure.
I'm considered as a professional thief. Johannesburg prison, I went to Modapi, RAF.
Epinoni.
Transfer, yes. Modapi, I played soccer. I played for a #1 team in Modapi, Foslo United. I'm a goal scorer, a super sub.
Yeah?
Yes. I grew up with soccer. Tonight, soccer it was a religion. It's not a sport.
Sure.
It was compulsory in Kule, Palsbabu Sheikh Kumani, in Kule, Brian Baloyi.
Yeah.
My money was my classmate, my money Piri. In prison, same thing. Soccer is run by gangsters. To be fielded there, you must sell your soul, ube cherry. And my coach was sodomizing boys, emodapi. And young boy, I'm a light skin.
Yeah.
When I was 22, 24.
Yes.
You understand?
That's all.
Sunlight Gesi, the
Yes.
So I wrote a script, I formed a campus dance.
Wow.
Then I became a campus dance player. And then I was writing a script.
Abo Matseke Zulu, Joe Mafela come to Sun City.
Yes.
And they hear about this.
About Freddy Gwala.
Yeah.
I was one-on-one with Joe Mafela. Ngimtshela my vision. Ukuthi mamela la baba. I see on TV, I'm the next big thing. Mangithuma la, angisafuna ukubona la. Sonake is my friend.
Sure.
Joe Jimmy Mafela. Those are my family friends today.
Wow.
When you see,
and you saw yourself out of prison as a bigger guy.
Yes.
Than the ex-convict.
I told the inmates when I was in prison, Spegeleli is one, a kitchen, I'm the next is a star.
Where now?
Yes.
Ah.
I told them. I think everyone wanted to be on his list. And I was also one of them.
Yeah.
Me, I prophesied when I was in prison that I'm the next Israel star.
Yeah.
Then I came out October, November, it was auditions. I was 1 month old outside. Then I remember I came there jogging. I was sweating heavily. It was fully packed. Audition room. Everyone was there.
In the early 2000s, he stepped into the production called Yizo that was already shaping South African television in a very specific way. Created as an educational drama to reflect on realities of township schools after apartheid, didn't shy away from violence, crime, and social pressure. That environment demanded performance that felt real rather than performed. His role as a gang leader wasn't designed to be the center of the story, but it carried a kind of authenticity that made it stand out. There was no overacting or dramatization, just a grounded presence that matched the tone of the show perfectly.
The power of the spoken word. This man has changed a 3x4 room and he's speaking life.
Yes.
Saying, I'm going to be Yizo 2 superstar. And Lord, did he not live up to it?
In a series known for launching careers and sparking nations' conversations, even a smaller role had the potential to leave a long-lasting impression. For an example, he appeared in only one scene, yet he is still regarded by many as one of the standout performances associated with Yizo. What made this moment important wasn't visibility alone. It was alignment, the right actor entering the right production at the right time. Because Yizo wasn't just entertainment, it was commentary, and being part of it placed him within a very specific cultural moment. At that stage, the industry wasn't fully watching him yet, but the foundation was already been built. Like most early roles, it didn't immediately define his career, but it quietly set the tone for the types of characters he would later become known for.
But before that, there was a director who tried to sabotage you. Who was the director? He didn't want you to go to Yizo.
Bongani Linda. That's my first director.
Yeah.
Yes.
He didn't want you to go, no?
Yes. He did not want to. Life. He was my friend. He was my director. He was my enemy at the same time.
Then came 2002, and with it, a youth drama which focused on the township life, relationships, and survival in an urban South Africa. Running from 2002 to 2005, the show became a platform for emerging talent. This is where his role as GP began to expand his presence. GP wasn't just another supporting character. He represented a certain kind of street authority, a figure shaped by environment and circumstance rather than the simple good or bad writing. Because the show itself was rooted in realism, the performance had to match the tone. This meant staying grounded, controlled, and believable. This is where the audience started recognizing him consistently.
This is final.
The timing also mattered. Early 2000s South African television was still defining its identity post-apartheid, and shows like Gazlami played a role in that shift. Being part of that wave meant the work was tied to a broader cultural movement rather than just individual success. And while the role didn't make him an overnight national star, it did something more sustainable. It made him familiar. From 2002 to 2005, the familiarity grew. episode by episode, building recognition that would carry into future roles. But what followed wasn't immediate escalation. It was a quieter phase that raised a different kind of question. What happens after the breakthrough? Between the mid-2000s and the early 2010s, there is a noticeable gap in his mainstream television appearances. But this doesn't mean the work stopped. It simply shifted direction. He focused more on theater and community-based storytelling because spaces that operates very different from television. Theater requires sustained performance, direct audience engagement, and a deeper reliance on the timing and delivery. And while the productions don't always come with documented timelines or widespread media coverage, they play a crucial role in refining an actor's craft. This is also where many actors either lose momentum or rebuild it, depending on how they approach the space. And for him, it became a period of development rather than disappearance, even if public visibility was lower. He returned to television through a drama centered around family loyalty, crime, and power struggles within a wealthy household. His role as Jake's Matseke fit naturally into that world. A character positioned within conflict, operating with control and intentions. The performance reflected the years of experience behind it. More measured, more precise, and less reactive than his earlier roles. This marked a clear comeback, not just in terms of presence, but in how the presence had just evolved over the years. 2016 introduced him as Gumbi, and this moment carried a significance beyond the character itself. This was the first time he was credited under the name Israel Matskeke Zulu, marking a shift in his professional identity. The show, which focused on rural and urban power dynamics, family conflict, and Zulu culture, required a character who would carry both authority and cultural weight. Gumbi fits into that structure as a figure tied to influence and control, aligning what type of roles he had been building towards. Then in 2020, he joined a township-based drama exploring crime, survival, and family dynamics in Alexandria.
What the hell? What the hell?
His role as Don Buthelezi placed him at the center of that war, a crime boss whose power came not just from violence, but from strategy and presence. Unlike typical villain roles, Don was written with layers, moments of control, emotion, and internal conflict that made the character more complex. From 2020 to 2023, this role introduced him into a younger audience, many of whom experienced his work from the first time through this character. And because Gomorrah itself was built around realism and social context, the performance had to remain grounded, which is where his experience became most visible. Now, the question shifts again, not where it started, but how these roles across different years and productions came together to define what comes next. Beyond his most recognized roles, he has also appeared in other productions like Tsotsi, Jerusalem, and so many productions I can actually lose account. While these roles are less emphasized, they still reflect the consistent presence and grounded acting style across different stories. But the journey hasn't been without its challenges. In recent years, he faced a serious health battles that shifted the narrative beyond the screen.
The fight you had in 2022, loss, the amputation you had to deal with. You find out that you're dealing with a serious issue on your left leg.
Mangiyolala inyawo mangilibeke empedeni ngathi kunabantu bal operator mele ngihlale so ngilala so ngifaka ingubo so ngilala ngeside so mazithi 2-5 la sokuyovukwa khona abantu mele bavuke baye emsebenzini khani ngiyolala mina
and most people might not even know this.
Yeah.
And you find out that it's late. Gangrene is a problem.
I was turning 40. So when that thing happened, and then Brendan Daniel said to me, Israel, you know when you turn 40, something strange will happen to you. In your lamb from the ankle up to the calf, to the knee.
Yeah.
Believe in the tension.
How did you get to that point of realizing that, man, this is bigger than what I thought?
The doctor said, if I firstly came to them while I was affected only on the small toes,
Yeah.
he was gonna cut the toes and stop it right there so that it doesn't move.
Yes, sir.
But because I've delayed, I have to amputate below the knee.
That was his illness, which led to amputation of his leg, became a defining moment, not of limitation, but of resilience. For many, it could have marked a quiet exit, but instead, it revealed another layer of his story, one rooted not in characters he plays, but in who he is. And that's where the story tends to take a deeper turn. Beyond acting, he began using his story in a different way, through his podcast, where he engages directly with the homeless individuals, giving the space to share their stories, not as statistics, not as background, but as people with lived experiences, struggles, and identities.
My brother, just ready.
It didn't stop at conversation. In some cases, he has gone further, helping individuals access rehabilitation, offering support that moves beyond awareness and action. There is a different kind of strength in that, one that isn't performed for the camera or written into script. It's real, immediate, and impactful in ways that don't always make headlines. And that reframes everything. Because now, the story isn't only about the roles, the shows, or the timeline. It's about purpose, about using influence to shift narratives, not just on screen, but in real life. So, the question is no longer just about what comes next in his career. It's about how he continues using his platform, not just to be seen, but to make others seen too.